Bonjour, 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 and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. Today's video is going to be a good old-fashioned haul. I'm going to be sharing with you my new tarot decks and new oracle decks that have arrived in my life in the recent 3 months, 2 months, whenever it was that I did my last haul video. We have a good mix of mass market decks, indie decks, some beautiful gifts from friends, and as well as decks that I bought myself. This is just a very light-hearted, fun way to share with you my new decks. If you're not into haul, then this is definitely not the video for you. Feel free to exit now, no harm, no foul. You'll find plenty of other videos on my channel, but if you do enjoy those types of videos, and you're in for a treat because I've got quite a few decks to show you and I'm very excited about them. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Marine, I'm a French tarot reader and a lover of everything tarot, oracle and self-empowerment related. I love decks. I love oracle decks. I love tarot decks. As you're gonna see here, I have a huge passion. I'm in love. It's something that's, a big part of my life and that brings me a lot of joy. I also really love reading cards. It's one of my love language. So I also enjoy posting pick card reading that are all tailored to helping you to help yourself. So if you'd like to see any of that, please feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you join the tide. If you enjoy this video, leave it a thumbs up or a comment. It does definitely help my channel to grow and it's a nice exchange of energy. And as per usual, in the description box below, you're gonna find all the names of the decks I'm talking about. If I find links, I'm gonna be putting links down there, as well as my other social media link and other videos of mine you might want to check out. I think that's it. Done my good YouTuber intro. So without further ado, let's get into my latest deck haul. So how are you? How's everybody doing? How is your summer or winter going? Where I am, it's winter, but I live on a tropical island, so it's still very hot. It's about 20 degrees on cooler days, 25 degrees on warmer days. Very hot, I guess, for a lot of you, but for me, those cooler days have meant more hermiting vibes. I've been a bit more quiet on here, partly due to health stuff, but also a majority because I've kind of been hermiting. I've been going through a big hermit phase, kind of going within, taking time for myself to reflect, to do some inner work that needed to be done. So I've been a little bit quiet this winter / summer for you guys, and I do apologize, but I've got a ton of ideas for the rest of the year that I'm very excited to share. At the time of me filming, it's August 2023, so I don't know when I'll be posting this video because there's always a delay between me filming and editing due to chronic health stuff. I'm excited for the rest of the year because I've got lots of cool things in the work for this channel and I hope that you'll enjoy them. But for today, it's a haul. I love hauls. I love watching them. I just love cards, so I love watching what people got. I love seeing also people decluttering, using, like I'm here for all of it. We have kind of like 3 different categories. I have decks that I got thanks to amazing friends. Then I have a little mass market haul. And then I have Kickstarter backings or pre-orders or things that I probably bought even as far back as last year, but that are finally made their way to me. So we'll start with the decks that I got thanks to amazing friends. The first one, it's actually a couple of them and I'm so pumped. I've been using them actually since I've gotten them like about a month. I have the Root and Wings mini oracle deck, which is right here. And we have the No Filter Oracle, which is right here. So I got those 2 oracle decks thanks to my amazing friend Angie. We did a deck swap. Angie from A Cup of Tarot. I will leave her Instagram down below. She doesn't have a YouTube channel yet, even though I keep pestering her that she should make one. But she has an amazing Instagram page where she shares a lot about her practice. She's very raw and authentic, and I really appreciate everything that she does. And she's a friend I made through this YouTube channel, and she's actually based in the Philippines, so it's been really fun to do a deck swap with her. And so she sent me a couple of decks along with a lot of really cool goodies. So if you're watching, Angie, thank you so much. You've made me so happy. But the 2 decks she sent, so she sent the Root and Wings Oracle, which is the mini version, and we'll talk about this first. So the Roots and Wings, this is the mini edition. I believe there is a larger edition as well. It's an indie oracle deck, and Angie sent it to me in her swap because she said that she wasn't resonating with it and that much, and she thought that I would probably get a good use out of it. And honestly, I really do. I've not been able to put it down since I've received it. It's been such a good oracle to use for pairing, and it's been living on my bedstand because I do a lot of my readings at nighttime. It's been living on my bedstand ever since I've received Angie's package. Like, it's been my go-to oracle for pairing and kind of like tying up the reading. 63 cards, and it comes with this little guidebook, which is more like a leaflet with a couple of sentences for each keyword. I've not even looked at this, to be honest, because the cards are so intuitive. I've not even read the guidebook, which is very unlike me. I usually take a peek, but I kind of like took this deck out of the bag and started using it straight away, and it was just super easy, super flowy. There's a good balance of keywords, there's lighter concepts, shadow concepts, and it's brilliant. It's very well balanced oracle, and I find that honestly it's gonna be one that I can see myself using for everything. Like, this is definitely gonna be part of my Swiss knife decks, the decks that do a little bit of everything, that I think are super versatile in my collection. And on top of that, I really vibe with that watercolor artwork. I think it's beautiful. So that's been already a huge fave, and I want to say a huge thank you to Angie because I love it and she knows me very well. And then Angie included another little deck, which is called the No Filter Oracle, and now I might be wrong, I hope not, but I think this one is from a Filipino creator or creatrix, I'm not sure, but that's awesome because I love having decks from different influences in the world and different creators. I would say it's kind of like playing card size, and the No Filter Oracle carries its name really well because it will read you to filth. This is one of those decks, it's like one sentence. Why is this all over? I swear, every time I try to make videos, the fairies come before and they mess my card up and they play tricks on me. So the No Filter Oracle, it's one of those decks, it's quite simple in the aesthetic of it. It's like one card, one sentence, but the idea behind it is it's meant to be without filters. It's meant to tell you the truth. It's meant to cut through the bullshit and kind of tell you the hard truths that you don't want to hear. So this does not hold back. It can be even a little bit rude in some ways, because if you're looking for a deck that's gonna cuddle you and say, oh, you're doing so well, sweetie, it might, but it might also tell you to get the fuck out of your couch, get moving, and stop complaining. Kind of like, you know, in RuPaul's Drag Race when they do the reading challenge, because reading is fundamental. I feel like this is the equivalent of that, but in a deck. This is gonna read you to filth, and you're still gonna want to know more. I've actually been having a lot of fun with this deck. I don't use it on days where I feel a bit like shaky, or if I'm feeling like my mental health or my emotional well-being is not the best. This might not be the deck I go to, but if I feel like I'm definitely needing a kick up the butt, this is it, because it doesn't hold back. There's actually different colored backgrounds that mean different things. Oh, there we go. It's here. So I think you have different categories. They explain it to you. We have snark, play nice, and do something. So the snark is stuff you don't want to hear but probably should. Play nice is things to fluff you up and make you feel warm and fuzzy, and do something is actions to get you off your lazy ass. I think I'm gonna have so much fun using this if I'm doing like quick fire reading, or even in pick a card readings when we're looking at potentially like what we don't want to know, our shadow self, things like that. This could be very good. I'm super happy Angie included this because I don't have anything in my collection like this. Kind of has the audacity to read me to filth like that so plainly, and yet I'm enjoying it, so maybe that says something about me. Thank you so much again, Angie, for including this. The last deck that I got thanks to an amazing friend that I also met on tarotube is the Heroine Tarot. The Heroine Tarot, I want to thank To Tarot, Ali at To Tarot. Again, I leave the link to her channel below. She has a YouTube channel and Instagram, so please go and check her videos and tell her I say hi. Because thanks to Ali, I finally got my hands on this deck, which has been on my wishlist for 4 years, ever since it came out in 2019. I've been lusting after it like a sad puppy, and it was impossible for me to get at the time. They were only delivering in the US, and then for a time it went out of print, and I kind of like gave up the fact that I would ever own it. Here are the backs, by the way, which I love, and the edges are hollow, like silver hollow, very cool. So the Heroine Tarot was on my wishlist for 4 years. It went out of print. I kind of gave up the idea of ever owning it, to be honest. And then when it came back in print, they weren't delivering to Reunion. They were only delivering to very few countries. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm meant to never have this, and it's okay. It's one of those decks that just got away. And in one of my videos, I can't even remember which tag, but there was a prompt that was like, oh, what's the deck that got away? And I said, oh, it's the Heroine Tarot. And Ali watched that video and she was like, hey girl, it's back, like it's back in print, and I can order it to me and send it to you if you want. And I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. So thanks to Ali being my deck mule, I finally have this in my hands, and I'm so grateful. So thank you so much if you're watching this, Ali, because honestly, it just makes me so happy. There's decks like that you lust after for so long that you kind of decide, okay, it's not meant to be, I'll never own this, and that's fine. So to finally like have it in your hand, it's that feeling of like, oh my god, I found a unicorn. You know, that's how I feel. Holding this, I feel like I found a unicorn, or I found my treasure, you know, and it's just very special. And the fact that I managed to get this through a friend that I met on tarotube that I probably would have never met, it just makes it even more special. The fact that this is a tarot deck full of women, badass women who are living their best lives, who are shining their own light, being authentically themselves, and the fact that I got my copy thanks to a badass woman and now friend. I'm super pumped. There's something about this deck that caught my eyes from the beginning was first the outfits of the people. Like, it's giving a lot of fashion. I don't have any deck in my collection that was speaking to my fashion heart, even though it's something that is very like big passion of mine in my life. I worked in the magazine industry for a long time. This speaks to that side of me, which maybe is not as quite able to express herself as much now that I've gotten sick, and maybe that there's like less opportunities for me to wear what I want and things like that due to chronic pain, things like that. Sometimes when you are affected by those things, you kind of have to give up on certain clothes you like to wear or things you like to wear because it could trigger pain. Even down to like the jewelry you wear, for example. If it's too heavy, it could trigger pain. If you know, you know. But I still, inside me, there is part of me that loves to wear bright clothes, and I still love to wear bright makeup, and I still love to express myself through the jewelry that I can wear. And so it's important for me. It's another way to express yourself. I don't see it as being superficial. I actually see it as a reflection of who I am inside. There's something very empowering about choosing how you dress as a way to express a feeling, express an emotion, express something. That deck kind of taps into that. So I'm super happy to have my hands in it. I'm super happy for the connection I've made, for the people I've met through tarotube that have now become friends. Let's move on to the mini mass market haul section of this video. So as you may know, in April Book Depository closed, and Book Depository was my go-to place to order English mass market decks. It was free shipping. It was like my main dealer, to be honest. That's where I got all of my mass market decks from. And it took ages to get to me, like months and months, but it was free shipping. It was like English decks, which I now can't get here. I don't have Amazon where I live. We don't have any of like the other places that you guys can order from if you live in Europe or in the American continent and all of that. When Book Depository closed, I did a huge order of all the mass market decks that I wanted, and books, all the books I wanted, all the English books. Those books and decks have been slowly trickling in, and in the last 2 months I've received 3 of them. I'm still waiting on some, even though I ordered in April. April and we're in August. There are still some books and a couple of decks that have not yet arrived to me. I know they will. It's long. I know for some of you guys standard it's long, but you know, I'm used to things taking a long time to come to where I live. I live on a little tropical island in the Indian Ocean, so you have to be patient. And that's when I hear people complain that they had to wait a week for their delivery, I'm like, girl, get a grip. So, very excited about my mini mass market haul. The first deck that I've actually been using since I've received it, Animal Apothecary by Cara Elizabeth. It's a 44 card deck with mostly animal inspiration. I kind of lost it after that deck as soon as it came out, and so when Book Depository closed, I was like, here is my chance to get it before it's too late. And honestly, since I've received it, I've been really enjoying it. I have quite a few animal decks, and even though this features animals, I wouldn't say it's necessarily giving like regular animal energy, because there's like strong animal energy within each card, but there's also a strong concept. So for example, here this is associated with opportunity, the shark associated with illusion. So it's not just a picture of the shark and it's telling you about the shark like some other oracle decks. It's actually like mixing animal medicine with spiritual concepts and kind of like psychological concepts as well, which I found very interesting. There's a whale card, so of course I'm happy. The thing about this specific artwork that I find super appealing. I love the fact that you could just use the deck because you actually have the writing on the cards. So if you wanted to just pair this with whatever or just get one message and just use the cards, you could. I really like that. But you also obviously have the guidebook here, which is really cool. Oh, another one of my favorite cards. It's so rare we see service dogs, I think, in oracle decks. I love the fact that it's here. So like I was saying, I love the fact that you can just use the cards, and that's been how I've used it a lot, just using the cards, one keyword or sentence, getting my message that way. This is my other favorite card. Look at that otter, surrender to receive. I can't. Every time I see it, my heart breaks a little, and I would die for you, little otter. You know that? I would die for you. I would give you my life right here, right now. Yeah, I think I need to stop watching otter videos on Instagram because it's not doing good for me, guys. But anyway, the guidebook is actually super awesome. So if we look at card number 2, with that adorable otter here, we have about 2 pages for each of the cards. There's like a bit about the otter as in animal medicine, and then there's a bit about the actual guidance. I was very impressed by how well this is written, by the messages carried here, by the variety of message here. One of my favorite mass market find of the year in terms of oracle. I think it's beautiful, the artwork, it's so striking, the backs, so gorgeous. I love that color palette. Pleasant surprise. Like when I watched walkthroughs, I knew I was gonna like it, but actually using it, it delivered even more profound messages. I kind of thought it was only gonna be pretty. Turns out to be a lot deeper than what I thought, so I love when that happens. Another great mass market find I'm so pumped for. I have not used a lot yet, but I'm very happy to finally have my hands on it, is the Witching Hour Oracle by Sherry Gerhardt. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. This is by US Games. This originally was an indie deck and it's gone mass market, and as soon as I knew it was mass market, I was so pumped. So again, in my last crazy Book Depository order, I put it in. But this is a lot more witchy, obviously, the Witching Hour. This is definitely not the same vibe. It's a lot more magical and mystical. Here are the backs, which I find beautiful. What made me want to invest in this deck and work with it was, first of all, the actual diversity in age and ethnicity in terms of the people represented here. I think that everyone represented looks so charming and welcoming and kind, and they look like the people you could meet in the streets, and there's lovely age diversity here, which we don't see a lot of. I think we talk a lot about ethnicity diversity, but age diversity is something that I'm seeing kind of a lack of in oracle decks, like the artwork I find so enchanting. And this actually follows the different moons, so not the moon cycles, but the different moons from across the year. So you know, you have the buck moon, the crow moon, which were the names that the different moons were called, whether it was in January, August, etc. For those of you who are like super into that particular dividing of the time following the wheel of the year kind of thing, but on a more moon based calendar, this could be really good. You have, I think, 2 to 3 cards per moon, if I'm not mistaken. What I really want to work with though are the keywords, because I find the keywords super interesting, like very witchy in a way, but also very magical. There's a lot here that I think could relate to maybe even doing some rituals, and just a lot around protection, boundaries. I think this is gonna become a go-to deck for, again, doing like, especially like pick a card readings when I want to wrap up the reading, when I want to get more information, things like that. I think I'm gonna really enjoy using that, because I feel like the artwork, it's gonna go with a lot of my modern decks. This is also giving a bit Halloween vibe somehow, and I'm here for it. I mean, we're in August, but come on, it's spooky season already, right? Especially for me, spooky season has already gone technically, because I'm in the southern hemisphere, but who cares? It's spooky season all year. I love this card so much. Like, I want this to be me and my best friends when we're old. I want to have pink hair and green hair. They look so fun and so like mischievous. For each card you have a keyword. You actually have an explanation about the moon first. So if we're in the category the growing moon, here we have related to the growing moon, we have self-reliance, creating, confidence, and then we go to the hare moon. So yeah, I think 2 to 3 cards per moon. And then for each card you have keywords, how that keyword relates to the particular moon. Finally, you have your guidance for when you're drawing this particular card. I've only used this a handful of times, so I don't have anything too clever to say yet, apart from the fact that I think the artwork is gorgeous. You know, in the comments if any of you have this. I've not seen this shared anywhere much really. It feels like it's gone under the radar, which is a shame, because I think this could definitely be a deck that suits a lot of us out there. So yeah, let me know if you have it and if you're enjoying it. So the last deck in my mini mass market haul section is the Dark Mirror Oracle cards by Laura Sava. This is a Los Scarabeo deck. So if you're not familiar with Los Scarabeo Oracle, they usually have fewer cards, like I would say less than 40 is usually the thing, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. I prefer larger decks, but their decks always have fewer cards. But the good thing is that their guidebook comes in lots of different languages, which I think is great because it makes them more accessible to a lot of us out there. Here we have English, Spanish, Italian, French, Portuguese, and Russian. And this is definitely a deck that is more tailored around, I would say, shadow work for sure. Artwork, it's very kind of creepy looking, which doesn't mean that a creepy deck is necessarily for shadow work. Sometimes we make that jump that because something looks creepy, it is for shadow work. It doesn't, and that shadow work can only be done with decks that look creepy. It's not the case. I don't think at all. I really disagree with that. There is that kind of shortcut. But here I think that this is very much made for shadow work because of the quality of the keyword, more so than the fact that the artwork, yes, can look a little bit scary. Just the fact that this is called the Dark Mirror, you know that this is gonna make you look at the parts of yourselves that are dark, that are more in the shadows, the part of yourselves that maybe are harder to look at, the way we lie, the way we manipulate, the way we play the victim, or the way that we are egocentric, all of the like parts of ourselves we don't want to look at. This is a deck that's made to help you do that. So the way that this is actually set up is that each card is linked to a moon phase, and in the guidebook it will let you know if it's waning, waxing, full, or new, and each card is actually linked to a part of the grieving process. So you know, when we grieve we have 5 steps. There is, I don't remember all of them at the top of my head or in which order, but there's denial, anger, 5 stages of grief, which definitely end with accepting. This is inspired by that, so each card is related to a specific step in the grieving process, as well as each card being linked to a phase of the moon. And so this is truly made to help you look at the shit you don't want to look at. And the keywords are going to be kind of resonant to that. We have some very strong keywords like addicted, for example. Some of them make a little bit less sense unless you read the guidebook, like black flower fragrance. I would need to read the guidebook to understand what that is, but the majority of them are not like that. This one, oof. This one is so hard to look at personally. There's something I find so creepy about those flies. Like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And yet, I know the fact that I don't like that means that there's something for me to look at here. Because usually if I have a kind of visceral reaction to something, it means that there's something there for me to kind of dig and uncover. I've not used this deck a ton, so I'm only familiar with the few cards that I've pulled, especially because this is so intense. Like it's actually the kind of deck that if I work with the card, I've been working with that card for a week at a time, so I've not actually been able to work with a lot of cards yet because I've been kind of going deep with this one. So I think it's one that's gonna take I'm gonna need time to really like get to know fully, to appreciate, to understand all the cards. I love the fact that the child card is so much brighter than the other cards. I think that's really beautiful. So I think this is a very interesting tool. I've not used it long enough to give you my full opinion yet. Obviously this is a haul, these are new decks, so it's not a review. So I can't say yet if I'm recommending this as a shadow work deck. What I will say is that I'm very impressed at the guidebook. Like I was saying earlier, each card we have the moon phase, we have a visual seed which kind of explains the artwork, which I think is really good because sometimes those keywords are a bit abstract. We don't always understand what it means, so it's interesting to understand what that keyword means and why they chose to depict it this way. The sentence is kind of like one little phrase that just gives you the summary of the card, and then going dark is really like the development about that guidance message with a lens of doing shadow work, of looking at the stuff you might not want to look at. And here you'll see the stage of grief. So we have here, it says denial, for example. Let's move on now to the part of the video about either decks that I pre-ordered that have made their way to me, or Kickstarters that I backed ages ago, like sometimes a year ago, that have finally made their way to me. You know the drill by now. Things take a long time to come to me. We're not surprised, we're used to it, so let's get into it. The first one is actually I don't know if it's Make Playing Cards or Printer Studio, because I actually bought this in 2022. It's been 1 year that this deck has been traveling around, living its best life, and I've been waiting for it to arrive to me. So I forgot where I bought it, you guys. I will try and put the link down below. I can't remember if it's Printer Studio, Make Playing Cards. It's one of those like print on demand website. This is called the Naturescape Tarot. Here are the backs, and it was created by, I believe, a fellow tarot content creator. So this is a photography deck that they created, where every single card of the tarot is linked to a landscape. And this is a deck I've been wanting for so long. I've been seeing it for ages. Last year I finally bit the bullet. I ordered this one and the Hellenic Oracle by Sia, but I've not received the Hellenic Oracle yet, so that one is still traveling around the world for the last year. This one, it was a surprise, honestly. When it landed in my mailbox, I'd kind of forgotten about it at that point, and it was like, ta-da, here I am. And honestly, it couldn't have arrived at a better timing because I've not been able to put this down, and I think this is gonna be even more perfect for a Virgo season that's coming up. So I'm very enchanted by this deck. Having it now, using it for the last couple of weeks, it's reminding me why I ordered it in the first place, and because it's been so long, I had completely forgotten a lot of what the cards look like. So it kind of took my breath away, to be honest, to use it and to rediscover it, because I was like, wow, this is actually so good, like it's genius. I'm super impressed with the person who created it. I think they did fantastic choices, and I feel very emotionally bonded to this deck already because a lot of the images remind me of places I've been. Like this is almost an exact copy of an image I took of a tree in Réunion Island that is very special to me. It's a place where I love to go to for like communing with nature, taking some time off, just sitting and relaxing under a tree, right? There's like a special tree I love to go to. This looks very much the same, so that's already very special. Here we have lots of different places around the world, but there's definitely places I recognize, like for Justice we have Mutmoha Falls, which I've been to when I was younger in America. I think the Three of Cups, it looks like the Seychelles, and it's a place that's not too far from where I live that I also was very lucky to visit. So there's definitely lots of places here, even though it doesn't say on the card. I don't think you need to know to be transported, because I think the beauty about this deck is that each landscape perfectly represents the mood of that tarot archetype, like the Eight of Wands, and we have those birds traveling far away, migrating movement. I think that's perfect. For the Four of Cups, it's that very much like quiet time where we are not really sure where to go. We feel a bit like in that liminal space. For me, the Four of Cups, sometimes it's giving hanged man vibes as well. We feel a little bit caught between a hard place and whatever that English saying is. You know the one, the one where we're caught between two shitty places, and just that feeling of apathy. This, I think it kind of gives that, very much that particular image. For the Three of Swords, we have this icy landscape. It feels cold, it feels barren, it feels like there's nothing there. Even though those trees are not dead, they probably will grow again. They look dead though, and in the Three of Swords moments we feel like there's no hope, we feel like we've lost everything, even though really we haven't. So I think every choice for every card is so really well chosen. There's only maybe a couple of cards that gave me a hard time, like in terms of trying to match the two, but honestly I would say 90% of the cards spot on. Like Seven of Pentacles as little fruits or nuts, I don't know what they are, that are not ripe yet, that we have to wait for them to ripen. It's genius. It's genius. It's like simple, straight to the point, poetic, takes you somewhere, opens up your mind, helps you to look at different ways to think about tarot, helps you to communicate with nature. I think this deck is very spiritual, honestly. I find this deck to be extremely spiritual, because for me a big part of my spiritual practice is related to nature, communicating with nature, feeling at one with nature, being reverent and in gratitude and in awe of nature. That is how I experience magic and the universe and spirit. So this for me is very spiritual in that sense, and it's just so beautiful. I find this, just every card it takes me, transport me to somewhere, and yet it makes sense. Like this beautiful mountain as the Emperor, it gives the essence of the Emperor. And there's quite a few decks now out there that do this in terms of putting the nature as the center focal point without any humans or even animals. I'm thinking like Tarot of Oneness is kind of that. There's the walking meditation that is very that. But out of all of those, this was always the one that I loved and preferred. And so to finally have my hands on it, I'm so happy and excited. And this is definitely one I'm going to be using for, like I was saying, like communicating with my guides, my higher self, more spiritual readings, because that is the kind of relationship I have to nature. Also, the fact that there's no humans, I think it's nice. Sometimes I need that palette cleanser to just disconnect, open my mind. I think this deck is very open. It's like a breath of fresh air. Let's move on to another deck that has taken its sweet ass time to come to me. This is the Dream Vision Tarot 2nd edition. I backed this on Kickstarter. Oh my god, when was this? End of 2022, I think. Yeah, so 6 months And it wasn't even the fact that the Kickstarter took 6 months, it was just the shipping to me that took 6 months. But you know what? Everything happens in divine timing, and I'm very excited to finally get into it, because this is one I've been very much anticipated. I missed out the first edition when it was going, so as soon as the Kickstarter for the second edition came out, I jumped on it. This is still available, you can find it now in shops and stuff, and the creator has just released a new Kickstarter called The Dream of Nile Tarot, which is Egyptian and Thoth-based tarot deck. I had to back it because I love this creator's work, and because also I'm a glutton for punishment, and I can't wait to have another deck that's probably gonna take 1 year to come to me. There are the backs, which actually we're giving, like, this is a mood. The vibe of this cloth with the vibe of the backs, it's giving. I like it. I've not had a chance to use it yet, especially because I've been like in the process of getting to know the naturescapes and other the particular artwork. It's giving very like ethereal vibes, very again spiritual type. It's making me think of guardians from another dimensions, or guides, or are the beings or entities that could be looking out for us in other dimensions. If you believe in those kind of things, if you believe in guides, if you believe in guardians, ancestors, angels, whatever you believe in, those kind of type of energy, this is that for me watching it. And I remember watching Lisa Pape's video about this deck, and she said something very similar. So I think there's something about this that is giving that guiding, loving, guardian energy. So I think this deck is gonna be very healing for me. I can't quite tell you yet because I've not obviously used it. So obviously I need to put it in practice before I make my mind about it, but that's like first off the energy it gives from the artwork. I'm kind of discovering it again with you because like I said, it's been so long since I backed it on Kickstarter. I kind of forgot what it looked like, apart from the majors, which really like stood out to me. I love this Four of Swords, it's beautiful. Yeah, this is looking very haunting and beautiful, and very like channeled. This artwork feels very channeled, so I'm excited to use it, and I'm excited to find out if the preconceived notion I have of it turns out to be how it reads, or if I'm completely surprised, because sometimes I can be surprised. Sometimes I have a good sense before using a deck of what its strengths are gonna be, but sometimes some decks can take me by surprise and turn out to be completely different. Oh, those pentacles are so beautiful. I love this particular set of quartz. Really cool. There's a guidebook, and we get a page for each of the cards. There's astrological associations, and the last deck I want to share with you today, and again this was a pre-order, but this actually came way sooner than I thought. This is a Dark Reflections Tarot by Lamucci. Yeah, Lamucci, I think you say, Lamucci, I'm not sure. I'm sorry again if I'm butchering that. They do a lot of really cool decks. I only have this one, but they have quite a few, so check them out. I pre-ordered this, I think it was March or April, and it was supposed to come out in October, and I actually received my copy in August. Like, that never happens. I was so impressed. For the Dark Reflection Tarot, the backs look like this. They are black, but they have like veins or leaves or cracks. I guess cracks. They look like a mirror that's been shattered. Like spot gloss effect. I don't love it. I don't know. It suits the deck because, as you're gonna see, this deck has a very particular vibe. It's actually a deck made for shadow work, and so I guess it suits the idea of a cracked mirror, but when you are like using it, it just looks black. You can't really see the spot gloss, but that's fine. And on the side, they're like blue metallic, and they have a little bit of hollow vibe. There you go. So it looks black, but it's not black. It's more like dark blue. I was signed up to this creator's newsletter, and they mentioned in their newsletters that they were releasing a new deck in October that was supposed to be dedicated to shadow work. I kind of bought this on a whim, thinking let's do it for science, because each card is actually been tailored to read as if it was reversals. So even though it looks very RWS inspired, every meaning behind the card has been changed to look as if you had pulled that card reversed. And the way that they have transpired that is that it's giving like shadowy kind of meaning. So here for the High Priestess, instead of being the High Priestess connecting to the divine and being very like ready to give the secrets, here you can see the High Priestess has been completely absorbed with her own practice, absorbed with her own self, and she's not even looking at you. She's kind of like overly focused into her own practice, her own connection, and so it's giving like the more shadow aspect of the High Priestess. This Empress moved me to tears. I don't know what it is about this Empress that just it moves me, but this Empress, instead of looking abundant and like she has the earth flourishing around her and all the things we expect, this Empress looks covered. She looks almost ashamed. She's hiding away and she's not even in tune with her own power. She has a magical wand here that she looks like she's forgotten how to use, like she doesn't know how to tap into her own power. She's forgotten how powerful she are. Again, a shadow aspect of the Empress. This Emperor, instead of being a healthy Emperor who takes care of his peers and takes care of his kingdom, has been sitting on his throne so long, he looks like he's forgotten to feed himself. He's completely like cut away from the world. He's forgotten that he has a kingdom to take care of, and he's just been absorbed in his own mind, in his own self, to the point where his kingdom has gone completely extinct and derelict. We see those like skulls here, which is a very shadow aspect of the Emperor. It's an Emperor who doesn't take care of others, who builds for himself, and who forgets to pull up people with him to ascend along with other people. So again, a shadow aspect of the Emperor, and it's gonna be the same for every single card. The Lovers are arguing, and instead of the Angel, here we have an Angel of Discord, I think. The Chariot has forgotten where he's going and looks like he's lost, and the Sphinx are not helping. Maybe he's even broken his carriage and he can't go anywhere. The Strength, this Strength card, it made me feel something, like there's something so raw about this. They look like they are being tied by this vine of thorns, and the lion is trying to get them away to help them, and they can't. Even their lion friend can't help them out of this hole, this rut they've gotten stuck into. And they've forgotten how strong they are, and they've forgotten to ask for help. So very powerful. This Hermit, again, it's so clever. It's like knowledge, but dangerous knowledge. Like knowledge that can be used as a weapon instead of being used as something positive. Because look at that menacing look in their eyes. So good. These are not even, so it shows how justice is actually not just and not fair in a lot of our countries. The justice system is fucked. So I think that's a good representation of that. It's interesting because it's supposed to be showing the reversals, that actually the negative cards in this deck, negative. I want to make sure that I'm saying that in air quotes, because I don't believe there's any negative or positive in tarot. I think that every card has both dual aspects of it, but the cards we're expecting more negative from, like the Tower or the Five of Cups, things like that, they actually look more positive in this deck because they are meant to be as if it was with reversals. And I don't actually use reversals when I read tarot. Like I don't read with reversals. It's not something I enjoy. I used to, but I don't anymore. And so I bought this deck sight unseen, really. Well, just read what the artist had to say on the newsletter, and I pre-ordered it, not thinking too much about it, because I thought, yeah, let's do it for science. Let's see if a deck that is supposed to represent reversal meanings works for me as someone who doesn't read reversals normally. And reversals can be read as something negative or shadowy. They can also be read in completely other ways. So this is just one interpretation of reversals in the way that is more the shadow, darker side of that card. I think this is going to be a good deck for looking at fears, looking at blockages, looking at things that maybe the ways we stand against our own selves, the way we are maybe not understanding others. So see, for example, normally the Nine of Wands, we are resilient, we stand up, we stand our ground. This guy, he's at risk of being burned, like trying to defend something that's long gone. Like there's no saving this church. It's full on fire. He's being shot. It's just time to cut your losses and go. Sometimes the shadow aspect of Nine of Wands is also knowing when to let go, when to know when to stop. Like there's a line between persevering and just banging your head against the wall. So I think that's a good depiction as well. This is a very interesting deck. As you can see, the suits are color coded, so for cups we have more blue backgrounds, for the swords it's more yellow, and then for pentacles it's more green. The Eight of Swords, for example, something normally considered negative, here you can see it's depicted as if they've already freed themselves. So it really does turn tarot on its head. It's like what you expect normally to see, imagine the reverse, which I think is really cool and interesting, and I'm excited to get into this. And of course I will let you know how I get on with it, how I read with it. And there's 2 extra cards, Shadow and Light, which, by the way, it looks like someone looking at you from within your own grave. So cool. So this is it, my friends. These were all of my recent decks that I wanted to share with you. Some of them I've worked with, and some of them I haven't yet, and so I'll be talking more about them in the next few months. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes, and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!